There is a lot going on in Washington. We have a congressman there. His name is Tom Reed, a Republican from Corning. And there are so many issues before the American people that affect each and every one of us that we have invited Congressman Reed on the show via telephone. He's back in the district. Tonight he goes back to Washington, and he's welcome to it. Stay tuned, folks.
Next on News Talk, AM 1480 WLEA, the Newsmaker Show with Kevin Doran.
Congressman Reed, before we get into the nitty-gritty, a question. Is there ever a time in your long day, and I know you put in long days, and long weeks, is there ever a time when you say, why in the world did I get myself into this?
Well, I appreciate that, Kevin, and obviously there are always moments when dealing with Washington, D.C., it's like banging your head against the wall, and you just say, this is so frustrating. And that's why I empathize with so many people that come up and say, why can't you just get something done? Why can't you just get together and find the solutions? And people are frustrated, and I'm frustrated. But at the end of the day, you have to be part of the process in order to change it, I firmly believe. And we're bringing to the table what we believe in and bringing the voices of the people of the 23rd Congressional District of Washington, and that's what we'll continue to do, God willing.
Now, we've heard nothing but bad about Obamacare. Of course, if you watch CBS or NBC or ABC, you don't hear too much bad. But if you talk to people, you hear a lot of things bad, and the polls all reflect that. But you have a rather large district, bigger than many states, in fact. Are you getting any pro-Obamacare comments, letters, telegrams, whatever?
I obviously, representing 717,000 people, there are some people that have expressed support for Obamacare, Affordable Care Act, but I will tell you the overwhelming sentiment that we're picking up on and hearing from are people getting the cancellation notices, concerned about their health care status for next year. Where is this going to go? How do they get the insurance? And it's causing a tremendous amount of anxiety, and it's causing people really to be hurt in the pocketbook and really for their future ability to plan.
Okay, would you put a percentage on that if you can, Congressman? What percentage are against?
Yeah, I would say that, it's a significant percentage. I mean, I don't have a number for you that I could point to and say that that's the way it breaks down, but significantly more opposed and are standing against the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and we've seen that in national polling. So I would think our polling is very similar to what you may be seeing on the national type level.
All right, now we ain't seen nothing yet, because only a small percentage of the people are affected by individual care. Next year, we're going to see a lot of people dropped by companies, some because they can't afford it, some because they see an opportunity to save money. But I suspect they're a minority, because most companies want to give their employees benefits. They really do, if they can afford it.
They can afford it.
And next year, we're going to see an awful lot of people very upset. And when I say next year, I'm talking about within 6 months. They're going to start getting the news. Then others are going to lose their jobs. Others are going to go down to under 30 hours to avoid this. What are your colleagues saying about this? What do they think will happen?
No, we are definitely seeing even indications today. I talked to a constituent the other day from Bath. It was reduced his hours of employment from full-time down to 30 hours because they had to get under the full-time employee, and he wasn't even getting his health insurance through his employer. He was going through his wife's plan for health insurance, but because his employer couldn't provide the health insurance, he had to reduce his hours from 40 to 30 hours. I mean, that's a real impact. That's 10 hours worth of time that individual and that family suffered by loss of income. And we're seeing that all across the district.
And a lot of people are going to lose their jobs totally.
You got the situation of the full-time employees going down to part-time. You got the 1-year extension that Obama did for small businesses in the business mandate. And what's going to happen? People are going to start getting these notices sometime in the middle of next year where the premium calculations are going to be done, and you're not going to be able to. Employers aren't going to be able to afford health care, and that's just that's going to put a lot of Americans, millions of Americans, into harm's way. And it's Kevin, to put it the best way I could, Max Baucus, the Democratic chairman of the Senate Finance Committee, called this a train wreck. Well, you know what? Those words are coming to be true, and that's a Democratic member who is the principal author and architect of Obamacare in the Senate, saying these guys have gone too far and that this is a policy that's going to explode.
Well, you're getting to my next question. I have been, if you will, looking into the future with your former professor, Dr. Heinemann, and I'll tell you in a minute what he says he thinks is going to happen. But I want to know if there are any Democrats who say to you privately, boy, Tom, I'll tell you, we got ourselves in an awful pickle. I'm sure that they're more candid with you than they are with anybody else. Are you hearing that? Huh?
Yeah, because I have a lot of friendships and relationships across the aisle. Just by nature, I guess, who I am. I have a reputation of willing to talk with anybody and develop those friendships and relationships. I believe in that. And what I'm hearing from folks, especially younger members that I have that closer relationship with, they're saying but they're watching it. They don't know what's happening. They're very concerned. They were misled themselves by the president. When the president said you could keep your health insurance, period, they were told that was a fact. And now they went on record. I had one member tell me that she went on video because and on reports based on the White House's assurance that was an accurate statement. And now she's going to get lambasted because it's proven to be false, and they knew it was false when they said it.
Okay, now all of that normally would add up to a major shift in control of Congress next year, and I told this to your friend Heinemann, who's my friend too, except he's always just a little bit too much of a establishment Republican for my taste. But anyway, Heinemann says, no, it won't be a big change next year because the Democrats will finance a third-party Republican, whether it's a Tea Party or a Libertarian, I don't know, and they'll drag votes away. That's what they did in Virginia. It's an old trick. Finance a third party, and that's what they'll do with all that money Soros gives them, and they won't lose control of Congress. Now, I don't know who's in charge of electing congressmen and congresswomen on the Republican side, but they must be alert to that fact, aren't they?
They are, and that is a tactic that's been deployed for decades now, and so it's a well-played game, and they know how to play it. But because it's so well known, I think at the end of the day, we're going to be in a position where the policies of Obama and the liberal left are coming to be put in the full spotlight of Americans' oversight. And America's going to say, that's not the America I believe in. That's not the America that I want to stand for. And I think we are in a position where the conservative individual responsibility, accountability, entrepreneur, economic freedom principles that I believe in are going to carry the day. And we just got to make that message and deliver that message. And the American people, I think, will stand with us because that's fundamentally where I believe the country is.
Okay, let me give you a scenario. I've been bouncing this off some of my guests lately. Republicans, I really believe, will capture both houses of the Congress next year, the House and the Senate. Whether they'll get a veto proof is a big question, but I think they will get a majority. Then I foresee Democrats saying, I'm going to vote for repeal this time because if I don't, I'm going to get it next time. I'm going to lose my seat up here. And so they'll switch. Do you see that as a possibility?
There are more and more Democratic members coming out being opposed to the law because I think they're trying to listen to their constituents, and the constituents are feeling the negative aspects of it, and they're trying to listen to that voice of their constituents. But you got to remember, even if the majority does switch, and that's going to be ultimately up to the people, have to make that decision in the Senate, and the House remains, which I believe it will, in the Republican hands, you're going to have a president who has made it very clear. He is going to veto any type of attempts to repeal the law or portions thereof. He's made that very clear to us in private meetings. He's made that clear publicly, and that's the problem. We need to put us on a course to get this law in a situation where 2014 and 16, it's a critical piece of the election process.
Okay, so it is asking a lot to come up with 2/3 to override his promised veto. But then what about defunding the whole thing?
Yeah, the defunding situation, and I think we just went through that with the government shutdown and things. People, my sense and read of the government shutdown, when you tie it to non-budget, non-spending type of issues, I think the people are expressed their disagreement with that approach to the government. And so that's where, elections have consequences. President Obama was absolutely correct when he said that, and people need to realize it. That's why 2012 was so critical. That's why 2014 and 16 will be so critical to our nation's future.
Talking with Congressman Tom Reed. We'll be back with the Congressman in just a moment.
Cy Surefine Food Mart saves you money by being the most convenient supermarket. Parking is close to the front doors, and their variety-filled yet simple store layout helps you save time and money by not encouraging you to buy all those things not on your list. And their weekly specials are superb. Here's Larry Jones with just a few of this week's sale items.
Well, thank you, Stanley. Hey, this week at Size, folks, get ready for Christmas with Surefine whole boneless hams, just $1.99 a pound. Juicy, tender sirloin steaks, $3.98 a pound. Francisco Rinaldi spaghetti sauce and pasta sauce, 5 jars, $5. And Vitel Italiano assorted spaghetti and pasta. Get 2 1-pound bags for just $1.
Size Surefine definitely has the best meats in the Canastilla Valley with only U.S. raised beef, cut right in their stores at either location, Arkport or Canastillo. Like them on Facebook or see their ad online at SizeSurefine.com. Thank you very much.
It's the Newsmaker Show on AM 1480 WLEA.
Congressman Tom Reed, we're talking about Obamacare. We're not going to talk about that anymore, though. We're moving on to other issues. You told me off the record one day that you saw the 2014 campaign as being among the dirtiest we'll ever experience. I think that's what you said. And you also said it will be extreme right against extreme left. You still believe that?
It's going to be a very nasty cycle, and not just our race. I think will get very nasty in the sense of they've already demonstrated they're going to pull out all stops to come after us. But I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to get in the mud. I'm going to put our policy and our position and our record up against my opponent. I say, her extreme liberal left positions. Not only does she support Obamacare, she wants it to go further and wants single-payer health care, which is completely government-run and delivered health care in America. She thinks we should go down that path, complete socialized medicine, in my opinion. And when you put that kind of policy out there for the people to vote on in Western New York, I think we're going to be just fine. But we'll keep. We're not taking anything for granted. We're going to keep working hard.
Well, I think probably most people are waking up to the fact now that President Obama and the Democrats really do want socialized medicine, and this was just a step in that direction. But it's not going over. It's going over like a cement dirigible. And I don't know what they're going to do, but I think it could be a blessing in disguise. People are being given the choice. Do you want to be socialist or would you rather be a little more American? And they're saying, we don't want socialism. I think that's what's happening. What do you think?
I think people in America have recognized that America and our philosophy of free enterprise, marketplace-based solutions, empowering individuals, letting individuals can control their own destiny rather than having some type of big government type of mentality or big government-run lives is something that we embrace and that we run to. We have done more with the free market enterprise to lift people out of poverty, to empower people to control their futures. And I think people see that, and that's why I think our message, my message that I believe in, and that the solutions to American problems come from the individuals, and empowering individuals and giving them the opportunity to succeed on their own merits. That's what we have to do, not guaranteeing success, but providing opportunities to succeed. That's what we should be focusing on, and I think American people will join us in that effort come these election cycles.
Well, something else on the state level and also on the federal level, but not right now on the state level, that's getting a lot of negative reaction. I'm sure there's some positive. We've heard some positive, but overwhelmingly negative. toward this Common Core curriculum. Is there anything you can do in Congress about that, or is that strictly a state issue?
It primarily is a state issue. We have weighed in to express to the Department of Education informally that this one-size-fits-all, these mandates, it's just not the way to go with education. Education needs to be a local decision, in my opinion. There needs to be accountability, but that doesn't mean that you have some type of one-size test, and the teachers are required to teach the test and those types of things. It needs to be more based on what parents believe and what Board of Educations believe, and them coming together to educate the kids. Because what works in L.A. Won't work in Cornell, New York. And what happens one year in the classroom isn't the same the next year in the classroom. So I believe in accountability, but this Common Core is again kind of becoming a one-size-fits-all bureaucratic solution that they believe will lead the right way, and I just disagree with.
Again, though, it's aimed toward one world government. They're saying, look to the UN. Government. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, one more bigger. And I believe, there are some things that have been kicked around in Common Core, the ideas of critical thinking and educating kids to, they need to know the basics and still, and I firmly believe in that, but to get kids to start thinking more critically is something that I can be supportive of and weigh in, and I do that with my teachers in my local school with our kids. But that's me and my wife doing that and trying to influence what's going on in our schools. And I think that's where it's better suited than trying to have big government collecting all this data and spying and monitoring our kids and curriculums like they are under Common Core. That's my next question. Are you concerned about the NSA listening to all of the telephone calls and recording everything that's going on?
I am.
What is this, a police state we're going to have here? Is that what it's all about?
I understand the balance. There's a balance. Since 9/11, there are security risks. We live in a much different world than we do pre 9/11. But that doesn't mean we give up our freedoms. That doesn't mean we turn over our rights to be free Americans for the sake of safety. There's always going to be risk. That's why I teamed up with Marlon Stutzman, a fellow member who I came in with from Indiana. He and I are looking at the NSA and the intelligence provisions that are coming up for reauthorization very closely, and we're working with the committee and the chairmen, some reforms that make it more transparent, not this secretive rubber stamp type process. There, we need to bring it more onto the sunlight and allow individuals to be protected.
Okay, I have just one more question for you. Well, maybe two. I'm checking the time here. Why does the Homeland Security Department have to buy so many rounds of ammunition? They're buying so many that there's a shortage for the average hunter. What's that all about?
Yeah, we've heard this, and this comes from a lot of town halls we've had. This issue's come up, and it's caused some red flags to go off in my mind. Now, one of the indications they've given us when we've inquired of the Homeland Security and other departments is that this is just traditional buying practices. They try to buy in bulk to try to save money. But this seems to be a little bit more excessive. And, by asking the questions, I think we're making a difference. And we just got to keep putting a spotlight on them, hold them accountable, and just be wary as we go forward.
One final question. A few minutes ago, we talked about dirty campaigning. I can't tell you I'm familiar with all the facts, but I guess they're trying to hold you responsible for something your brother did late. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what you're going to see, I think, a lot of that in this campaign against us. If you can't stand on your record, go after the person personally or his family. And that's one of the bad parts of being in this political process.
It's like a lot of people won't get into it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we know it. And the bottom line, my brother and I, my family, we know who we are. And we'll leave our record. We'll let people judge us. That's fine. If the other side wants to go down this path of attack, I don't think people in our area, that doesn't go well with. But put my record up against my opponent's record with the extreme single-payer, complete government-run socialized
She's actually
medicine.
For that, huh? She's actually for socialized medicine?
She's 100% single-payer advocate, supporter. Doesn't believe Obamacare has gone far enough and fully support Obamacare. supports the SAFE Act here in New York State. To me, that's a record. That's a policy position that you can put in front of people, and that's fair. But if you go after me personally and my family personally, well, so be it. But we're not going to, we'll let the people judge that. And I think the people that we've grown up with and live with here at home in Western New York, we just don't do it that way. It's not who we are.
Congressman Tom Reed, thank you very much. Have a safe trip back to Washington. And don't let them infect you down there. And we'll have you back soon. Stay on the line for just a moment so we can line that up. That's it for now, folks. Stay tuned for more news and information on AM 1480 WLEA. WLEA. WLEA.